Here's what you can expect to see with the stock mirrors. Now you can see me. So as I move across, you can see the difference now in the beginning of the convex, and then at the edge it gets a little bit more. This widens your field of view, which will give you a lot more confidence in the road, knowing that someone behind you, you'll be able to see them a lot better and a lot faster and a lot sooner. So this helps you with your blind spot, and it's a fantastic addition. And as you saw, it's very easy to install. Let's get started. It's pretty simple. You have one bolt underneath here. It's right there, and we're going to take that out. And then we're going to remove this plastic cover right here. And the best way to do it is to simply pull down on this end right here, and it'll kind of just snap right out of place. Just like that. Next is there's two bolts here that we need to remove, and then the mirror will come right off. We'll have to unplug it. Best way to do this too is remove the bottom bolt first, because that's the one that wants to slip down into the abyss behind the fairing that you don't want to have happen. So be careful with that front bottom bolt. Just take that out kind of carefully here. There we go. And then remove the top one, but remember, when that bolt comes out, the mirror is going to want to fall, so hold on to it. I just walk the mirror out with the bolt, and that way you don't have to worry about dropping it in there. Just like so. Set that aside. Now you're going to pull that wiring out like that, and we're going to disconnect this. Slide the sheathing back, and there's a little tab right here, as you can see. Now everything in the world is going to tell you should push that down, but it's the exact opposite. You push this up, so push that up like that, and then pull while you're pushing up. And it'll pop right out. Next is we're going to go over to the bench and disassemble the housing. I've removed both mirrors now, and so to put the new mirrors together on the old mirrors, we need to disassemble these assemblies. So we're going to start with removing the mirror, and that is a simple procedure. Just grab the bottom like this and give it a nice tug. There you go. And then you're going to want to fold the top part forward. There you go. And that's going to slide down, and that mirror will pop right off. There's step one. Next, we need to get the painted part and the plastic part separated. There's a push pin here and these two screws. So we'll start with, I like to use a little pick like this and push in that push pin, like so. It'll help if you take this and fold it forward, like that, and that'll allow you access to the bottom of that push pin so you can get that to pop through. And it's helpful. Pair of needle nose pliers. Take this wire. Let's just shove that through the hole. It gets it out of the way a little bit. Then you can get in there and just push this up, back through the hole, and set that aside because we're going to put that back in. You're going to remove this screw here and this one. And now we're going to pull this apart. So this has little clips inside of it in different areas you have to pop them off first, and the whole kind of unit will slide to the side just slightly. So I like to start down here and just kind of pry on this with your fingers like that, and it'll pop off. As you can see, it'll just slide to the side and come up. There you go. Now the next thing we want to do is just loosen this back plate. We don't have to take anything else apart. We're just going to loosen these two screws just to make it a little easier to run the wire here in a minute. Again, you don't have to take it off, just make it so it's loose, and that's going to give us some edge. That's going to give us the space we need to run the wire underneath here. Next step, grab your mirror. Make sure you get the right one. There's right and left. We're going to feed the wire through here first. And we're just going to lay this upside down on the bench like that. This wire is going to run, there's a notch right here. And you're going to want to kind of just loosely have that pop up in there as we slide this over the top. And then the rest of this is going to come down and tuck underneath of this. So just follow the stock wire. That works best. And run it through that same slot. There we go. This gets a little finicky, so just take your time. You want to run that underneath and have that wrap around, and so this bend's going to end up about there, and then we're going to reattach these two. Be careful not to strip those out. Now we'll flip that over, and this is where you want to make sure you're not pinching the wire anywhere. And we're going to have that come up, and like again, there's that notch there, and that wire should be just about by that notch. And as we're going to screw this back on here, making sure that wire stays where it is. And this will snap back in place just like it came off. There we go. So once you're confident you have the wire here, and this is nice and even all the way across, you can put these two screws back in. Again, being careful not to strip them. These are just self-tappers going into plastic, so it's easy to do. Now, this wire here should still be somewhat loose because you're going to need to, obviously to get this to go on there, we got to get that wire. We can't have that, so this has to be pulled through to get the slack out. You may have to reach underneath here and pull on it a little bit. Sometimes it's a little tight, but that'll pull up right to about there. And don't worry about it, we can retuck this underneath in a minute. But now we're going to attach the mirror in that it's got these two tabs right here. They're going to slide up and under these two holes right here, just like the stock one came off. And then once you've got them firmly seated in there, push down on the bottom until you hear a snap. There we go. Now we're going to make sure that this wire here is clear. So we'll pull that slack out of there, make sure it gets back where we want it. Which is you want it tucked kind of in behind the housing there. You might have to flip this up again to get it under there. There it goes. And we'll reattach the stock wiring clip right there. And now we're ready to pin out the connectors and put it back on the bike. So to pin these connectors into the supplied connector, what we're going to do to make it easier is just we're going to plug that in. We're going to slide that in just like that. And not all the way, just a little bit, so we can see where the wires need to go. As you can see here, there's a blue wire, which is your turn, and the green wire is your ground wire. The white should go to the green wire, and the red should go to the blue wire. And you want to put these in this fashion. So take close note of how that slides in there. Don't put it in like this. It's got to be like this with those tangs pointed up. And then slide those in. They slide in pretty easy and click in just like that. And then this side for the power, same thing. Make sure you keep straight. Oops. As you're sliding these in, make sure they stay in straight and they don't twist, because there's a certain place they need to go. And just slide that in until it clicks. Give it a little tug, make sure it's all good and that these yellow parts are seated in there. Double check, make sure it plugs in nicely. Yep, good to go. So now this is ready to plug into the bike side, and we'll tuck the wires in and reinstall the mirror and check it out. Don't forget to put the push pin back on the end here. So you pop this, it came out like that. You want to pop that out so it sits like this. Push it in there and pop it until it snaps. So back over at the bike, we have our wiring harness that we just put together. We're going to plug that in to the harness coming out of the motorcycle, like so. Bring that sheath wire back up. Now this whole thing is going to get tucked, all of this is going to get tucked down inside of there. So I'm going to start by pointing that in and just carefully sliding it in, making sure that these wires don't get pinched either. Slide that all in there till we get these holes to line up, and then we're going to put our screws in. Now again, you don't want to drop this down inside of here, because then that turns a quick job into a 2-hour ordeal. So we're going to put that through the hole here like this so we don't drop it. I'm just going to get the first one started. We get the second one started in a very similar fashion. Snug those down. Now's actually the time that I would test it to make sure it works. Once this is bolted on, before you put this bottom cover on, just make sure you didn't pinch a wire or anything. So we're going to turn that on like that. Of course the mirror works because it doesn't need any electronics. And we'll turn the turn signal and see what it looks like. There we go. So with that, I'm going to proceed with replacing the bottom piece. Now when sliding this back in, it's got this tab here and this tab here that's slide in these two slots. If you kind of push down on this tab here to get it started in that slot, it's going to make getting this all back on a lot easier. So just like that. Now it'll pop right back up there. We'll put the screw in the bottom. And the screw comes at kind of a weird angle, so you think you're going to be cross-threading it, but really you're not. It just goes in a really strange angle. Whoops. There we go. And really, that's all there is to it. You do the same thing on the other side, and you're good to go. So as you see, it wasn't too bad to put in. For all the fitment information you need, go to goldstrike3d.com. We can also buy it there, or check your local dealer and ask for Goldstrike. I'm Ken. Thanks for watching.